Your retirement savings has 3 jobs. And yet, if you're like most people, you've really only planned for one of those jobs. And that blind spot is the reason many retirees spend their best years not enjoying their money and then accidentally leave a mess behind for the people they care about. And I want to address this in today's video. I want to talk about what those 3 jobs are, how fear can prevent you from living your best years in retirement, and the things that you can do to make sure that your money does all 3 jobs well, so it can grow well, so that you can live your best life, and so that you can leave the best legacy behind to your heirs. Now, job number 1 is to grow. You want your money to grow. And that's just the one job that everybody plans for. You've worked for 30 or 40 years, and over that period of time, you've been saving your money to grow it. And you've been wanting it to become as big as possible, whatever that number is. Now, the issue is that a lot of people think that getting it to a certain number, hitting 2 million or 4 million or 6 million, whatever that number is, that's the job. Job done, job finished. You've reached the finish line and you're ready to retire. And yet that's not the end of the job for your retirement savings. In fact, it's just the beginning. And so that brings me then to job number 2, which is to live on your money. Most people don't have a plan for this. And what I see happen with the people that I talk with is they tend to underspend. Retirees underspend because they're afraid of spending too much, afraid of not having enough later in life, or running out of money, of outliving their money, or becoming a burden on their children. And so they tend to underspend, which means they don't enjoy those early years of retirement when they have their health, when they could actually do things. And we are very much wired to have fear, to think about protecting ourselves. And so it's very natural for us to have this fear of spending too much and running out of money. But let's consider an example. Let's say that, like many of my clients, you and your spouse are 66, you're retiring, you've got 4 million saved in retirement assets, and you've got Social Security that you're going to turn on, and that's going to cover a lot of your basic essential expenses, and then you're going to supplement that with some money from your retirement assets. But you could spend more than just covering that gap. You could do some of the trips and some of the the remodel, the helping grandkids, helping kids, start a business, the things that you would love to do, but you're just not sure if you could safely do them. And when I run the numbers with clients, we see what that gap is. How much could they do versus just living their minimum budget needs? If you don't spend the money, let's see, clients that underspend or retirees that underspend, down the road at age 80, 85, they look back and see they've got more money than they started retirement with, but all the time is gone. Those years are now in the past, and they can't get the years back. The health is different now. Their energy level is different now, and maybe they can't or don't want to do some of the things that they would have done in those better years of retirement. So, job number 2 is for your money to help you live your best retirement, and that means spending some of it in the earlier years when you have the best years health-wise. Now, the third job is leaving the money. Whatever is left over, whatever you don't spend, is going to go to your kids, your grandkids, the causes you care about. And a lot of people think that that's just going to kind of happen. The accounts are set up, and maybe they've got beneficiaries, maybe they've got some estate plan documents, and it's just going to kind of happen automatically. But that's not true. if you don't plan well for how it's going to be left, a much bigger chunk of it could go to taxes and expenses. This could be caused by inefficient account structures, by not really thinking through the tax implications for children and grandchildren. And so you could end up costing your heirs and the causes you care about hundreds of thousands of dollars that they don't get because you didn't have the right plans and the right structures in place. Now let's talk about what you can do about this. And there are a few things that I want to mention that I have certainly mentioned in previous videos. Number one is the order that you spend money from your retirement accounts is important. That order matters. You have taxable accounts that you pay tax on every year. You have tax deferred accounts that you've never paid tax on, and when it comes out, it's ordinary income. That would be your IRA, your 401k. And you have tax-free accounts like Roth IRAs. What order you use that money and which of those accounts you leave to heirs matters significantly. And so you want to have a plan that lets you know what is the order that you should do things in, how should you spend money, how should you structure things so that it's the best, not only for you, but also for your heirs. The second thing that you can do is make sure that you keep your portfolio invested for retirement. You don't want to get too conservative right at the beginning of retirement because you could live 20, 30, 40 years in retirement. So you want to make sure that your money is invested to provide the security that you need to cover your income and the growth that you need to support you and have the growth you need for all of retirement, and then also leave a balance to your heirs, whatever that legacy number that you might want to have, that you might want to leave to kids and grandkids or to causes that you care about. So it's important to have that structured properly. And you want to think about the guardrails that you have in place for spending, as well as how to account for sequence of return risk, which is the impact on retirement portfolios when markets are up and down. I did a video on that recently, so you can go back and look at that video to get a little bit more insight into sequence of return risk and how to structure your portfolio to address that. Bottom line, the thing that you need is a cohesive plan. You need one comprehensive plan that's going to tie these things together. It's going to tie together the order of taking from your accounts. It's going to tie together the tax plans that you're putting into place year after year, and your spending guardrails that you have so that you know how much you can spend, but you don't spend too much. It's going to put in place all of the pieces so that you can grow your money well over your retirement, but live your best life off of it and leave the best legacy to your heirs and the causes that you care about. You want a cohesive plan that ties all of that together. For example, let's consider that you're doing a plan and you're going to do a Roth conversion, or that you're just thinking this year about doing a Roth conversion. If you have a cohesive plan in place, you can decide the right amount of Roth conversion that's a good amount. It minimizes the tax you're going to pay on those dollars, not just this year, but over your lifetime. But that Roth conversion then is going to reduce tax cost in the future, which will reduce some of the spending that you're forced to do. And it's also going to leave a much cleaner legacy to your heirs. So doing that Roth conversion as part of a cohesive plan is going to ensure that all of the rest of your plan works together the very best that it can now and over your whole retirement. Now, if you don't have a plan and you're not quite sure how to put that together, I encourage you to work with a qualified financial advisor that's got experience in this area. And if you're wondering who to work with, you don't have somebody that you're already working with, and you'd like to know how I work, I encourage you to go to my website, www.bestpathadvisors.com, And when you're there, you can see some information about how I work, and if it looks like we might be a fit, you can schedule a time to have a conversation. Now, if you're a client and you're watching this, you know these are things that we're talking about each year. These are very important to me to make sure that your money is growing well for you, that we're helping you live your best life, and that we're working towards leaving the best legacy to your heirs and the causes you care about. So with that, thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you next week right here on this channel. Be sure and subscribe so you don't miss anything, and you have a good week.